This is the Karen Reed case. Don't ruin it. We don't know. We don't know. We're getting ready to do it, guys. No, I share. You can have some, yeah. Do not spoil what happened today, you guys.
That the attorney has a right to be able to test. Why did you reject it? What was your thought process in rejecting it? And that applies to both Trooper Paul and Dr. Scordi-Bello, because as I understand it, this witness, Dr. Welcher, is not, he says, I'm not relying upon Dr. or Trooper Paul, which is completely false based upon what I just showed. But even if he just rejects it, in addition to what he has done, we have the right to test and get answers as to why he did it. And the same with Dr. Scordi-Bello.
Yes, Miriam.
Once he goes to this level, Your Honor, I believe it's a straightforward right, especially of a defendant in a criminal trial, and especially of the stakes and the charges this high, that we get to test it. What I think, lastly, my point here, Your Honor, the Commonwealth is doing is this. The Commonwealth knows Trooper Paul and Dr. Scordi-Bello are problematic for their theory and their narrative. Trooper Paul has got, if you work backwards from his key cycles, you end up with 1162-2, their key cycle. That ends up being not in front of 34 Fairview, but it ends up when the Lexus is in the possession of the state. That is the result of that. And that was something that was addressed square head on in the first proceeding. We're not coming up with some fanciful ghost in the second trial. This was gone through extensively in the first proceeding. And I understand this is a new trial, but it goes to show it's not something coming out of the blue, etc. And with regard to Dr. Scordi-Bello, it was remarkable on the redirect that I've never seen a prosecution.
Right now, and what we're seeing is a voir dire hearing before the jury is brought in. They're arguing for a right to question the witness from yesterday on certain things he spoke about.
Essentially go after the opinions and conclusion of their own medical examiner, when they basically said, the medical examiner, I can't call this a homicide. The manner of death is undetermined. And the medical examiner says, I don't see any motor vehicle impact injuries. There couldn't be anything more apt, more probative than whether or not the injuries to the decedent.
Ronnie and everybody else, please, no spoilers.
Are from a motor vehicle. The Dr. Welcher himself is saying they are. That's the essence of his opinion. It's the essence of his test. We get to be able to, respectfully, Your Honor, say, well, wait a minute. You said you looked at the autopsy. You said this. You highlight it. But you're going against the medical examiner on whether there's motor vehicle injuries. The experts can't, Your Honor, cherry pick and choose from documents. They can't use it as a shield and a sword. They can't put up, for example, Dr. Scordi-Bello's autopsy report, cherry pick things that benefit from them, and then and they did it on direct. And then all of a sudden on cross, when we want to go and test that, they say, oh, no, you can't do it. Your Honor, this whole argument is absurd. And it's antithetical to the Sixth Amendment. And even if, and this is my last point, even if this were merely a civil case, this would be routine cross-examination against the expert on the side. So in conclusion, Your Honor, I respectfully request that Ms. Reed and her team be allowed to exercise their constitutional right to cross-examination, the keystone of a defense in a criminal trial, cross-examination, and that they be able to take the shield that the prosecution is trying to put on us and be able to combat the sword that the prosecution has put forward with regard to trying to cherry pick from this information, and that we get to proceed, and we get to proceed undaunted from all the serial objections yesterday that interrupted my cross-examination. Thank you, Your Honor.
100%. I don't know if I have no echo on my end, but I'm the one that's streaming, so I wouldn't know.
What arises from the litany of complaints by the defense is that there is no constitutional right to usurp the rules of evidence. There is no case law, as much as they urge the court and yell out the word case law and constitutional right and Sixth Amendment right. There is no case law to support what they are trying to do. It is a simple endeavor that is clouded by all the rhetoric that they offer. And it is clear, and the court knows what they're trying to do. They are trying to pit the inadmissible opinion of a non-testifying witness against a testifying witness. They have asked Dr. Scotibello what her opinion is, and although it's not consistent with our reading of the case law, they were allowed to introduce that it was an undetermined.
Rebecca, I have on my YouTube every day from this trial. So it's Michelle's Criminal Musings. You can go back and watch all of them with us.
Cause of death or mechanism. That evidence is already in front of the jury, but they can't simply repeat it because it sounds good to them or they think it's helpful. Simply because a witness uses a document or looks at it or uses part of an autopsy does not let them regurgitate an opinion that's already in evidence to try to phantom cross-examine an expert. Dr. Welcher is clear. He did not rely on Dr. Scotibello's conclusion that this cause of death was undetermined. In fact, as an aside, he said, I wouldn't, because she's not qualified for that. And so this is a simple game. Let's pit one witness against the other and suggest that the Commonwealth's witnesses are inconsistent. They take it a step further. They want to relive what they think is their past success last year in this case without actually calling the witness. They want the jury to hear their perspective that a past witness had confusion in his analysis, but they don't want to call the witness. They want you to allow them to do that, not just shouting it out and have sustained objections, which has happened this entire case, but they actually want you to be able to allow them to ask Dr. Welch these questions, which he did not rely on.
How are
we
you?
had a voir dire. He was clear. He did not rely on the analysis of Trooper Paul. He did not rely on that determination or undetermined determination by Dr. Scotibello. It is that simple.
And guys, if you already saw this tape, please no spoilers. We want to see it for the first time too.
Tried to throw some fluff out and they throw around some documents. We have slide 22. Simply because there's a suggestion that Trooper Paul might be the hand in the picture is not an anchor, it's not a tether, it's not an adoption, it's no such thing. In fact, if you look at that photograph, it was taken by Zach Clark. So by the rationale of the defense, they should now be able to ask Dr. Welcher any question they want about Zach Clark's opinions, efforts, what Zach Clark did. It is a photograph that he considered, not an opinion, not an analysis. It has nothing whatsoever to do with Dr. Welcher's analysis or opinions. In fact, the evidence is to the contrary. He came out, conducted an independent analysis, did all of the work himself, considered documents, and he was specific about what was part of his opinion and what was not. And this information was not part of his opinion. They turned to the Google map. A bit misleading. This was generated by Google. Two separate people used the same program, but when you look at the CARS report and you look at Dr. Welcher's PowerPoint, it's different. Dr. Welcher's has a map on the side, and when you look at the numbers themselves, the CAR report says minimum 36.1, maximum 38.8.
Do you guys, will you ever be able to watch a case that Hank prosecutes in again and not see him the way we're seeing him now?
Dr. Welcher's slide, 37.9,
Right,
38.1. So in no way did he adopt, anchor, tether, use as any basis. In fact, his is different
I won't
and
even.
separate, as all of his analysis is. And so the portrayal of this necessity of information so they can sneak in inadmissible opinions with no witness is simply improper. There is no case law. There
Exactly.
is no legal support for it. They cannot reach back into last year and manipulate a witness and ask him about something that he didn't rely on because it feels good or it sounds good for their case. Dr. Welcher did not rely on Trooper Paul's analysis or reports, and he did not
Watching
rely on the
trial,
conclusion of
Tony.
Dr. Scotti-Bell of undetermined. If they want to call Trooper Paul, well, maybe they can try to do that, but Dr. Welcher is not the right witness for it. These opinions to try to do a credibility
They
valve
could try.
is a core preclusion in criminal law, a core preclusion. You cannot vouch for the credibility of another witness. You cannot comment. It's like asking, did the police officer lie when he said the light was red? It's the absolute same analysis. It just has a lot of icing on it.
JK, when you go to type next to the comment box, you know how there's the little emoji sign? Next to that is a star. That is the subscription stickers. You just hit the star and they'll all show up for you. This is the prosecution giving their rebuttal after the defense argues their right to question a witness on evidence he's presenting. Yeah.
Very briefly, bring the jury, start getting the jury ready, please.
This
Your
is the
Honor,
defense.
with regard to Trooper Paul, Mr. Brennan did not address 80% of the slides that I addressed that showed the basis. When he talked about the picture, making it seem like the picture is the only thing we're relying upon, there's clearly other items, but even the picture, Your Honor, the purpose of the picture is it's got the odometer reading. That's why they took the picture, and that's the tether. So the photo is completely relevant. It's not who's in it, it's the fact that that's the odometer reading they're using. Next point with regard to case law, Mr. Brennan presents none to go against the common sense law and that has been there for years. The other thing, Your Honor, is with regard to Mr. Brennan keeps trying to put my
Me too.
arguments into a credibility, like we're trying to attack the credibility of Trooper Paul. He says that we're trying to redo last trial. To the contrary, Your Honor, it's the Commonwealth that brought Trooper Paul into the second trial through Dr. Welch.
Someone is criticizing Karen's appearance. Am I missing something in chat here? Her eyes, it looks like she's just dazed off into space. That's all. That's all it looks like to me. I mean, if you had to sit there in court and hear all that testimony, you guys might look that way too. I would.
And Dr. Welcher's reliance on all the work of Trooper Paul. They've brought it in here, and because of that, we get the right to cross-examine it. Last point. This is not about credibility. He keeps saying something that's not happening, that we're going to attack the credibility of Trooper Paul. What we want to
Let's make a deal. If her eyes are scaring you, let's just not look at her eyes.
do is to say to Dr. Welcher, you have brought up Trooper Paul. You have used his odometer
Thank you,
reading.
Monica.
That odometer reading tethers through to Google. It tethers through everything you're doing. It's the foundation. But what you're ignoring, Dr. Welcher, are all the key cycle results that come from that odometer reading that you relied upon. Dr. Welcher himself can't cherry pick, grab things that he needs from Trooper Paul to do his analysis, and then the Commonwealth say, but you can't go after that because it somehow has Trooper Paul's name on it. It's illogical, Your Honor, and it's incorrect under the law. Thank you.
100%. But how does she rule?
So I disagree with you, Mr. Alessi. I'm not allowing in the line of questioning regarding Trooper Paul, and I'm not allowing the line of questioning regarding Dr. Scotti-Bello. So that's my ruling. Let's bring the jury in. Well, come over here because they're on their way.
Did we expect anything different from her, though?
She's gonna end up being disbarred.
The bar association I'm so angry. The bar association just last week gave her person of the year. I highly doubt they're looking at disbarring her.
If the feds are there, she's going to get
We don't know if they are anymore.
I do appreciate you were waiting, we were doing work in here, but we appreciate your patience. So I do have to ask you those 3 questions. Were you all able to follow the instructions and refrain from discussing this case?
Okay, yeah. As Catnip said, the federal case is done. We looked it up last night. And that's what I don't understand. It says that the feds closed their case. It was either the end of January or beginning of March. So we don't know that there is still even a case, you guys.
With anyone since we left yesterday?
Just a voir dire.
Were you also able to follow the instructions and refrain from doing any
Thank you, Sandra.
independent research or investigation into this case? Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left yesterday? No. Everyone said no or should be. Thank you. Could we have Dr. Welcher back in, please, and Mr. Leslie?
The only reason that we know is because Karen was notified by them that their investigation is closed. That's all I know.
Go to the podium.
The computer and any electronics there, so we don't have to do drugs.
It doesn't look like it's turned on.
Listen, guys.
And smartwatches.
I don't know how many of you missed it, but yesterday when our witness was on the stand, he had on an Apple Watch, and he was getting text messages on said Apple Watch. Listen.
Sir, I'll remind you, you're still in wrong.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Your Honor.
Listen.
And Dr. Welch, we're going to ask you to not turn on your computer yet.
Okey-dokey.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, if I could, smartwatches that are receiving text messages during his direct, if we can make sure that that does not occur.
I get my email. I think all the time.
Okay.
Heaven forbid you can't get your emails, sir. That's what his argument was. I get my emails on my watch.
Or just don't look at your watch.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's going to solve everything, Bev. Just tell him, you know what? Simply don't look at it when it goes off. That's going to solve everything. When something gives you a notification, your immediate reaction is to glance at the notification. How are you going to sit there and tell the man not to look at it, and that's going to solve everything? The hell?
Thank you, Your Honor. Morning, Dr. Welcher.
Good morning.
Yes.
Do you know whether there was glass found on the bumper of Miss Reed's Lexus SUV?
It's my understanding there was, yes.
Did you reach a conclusion on whether the glass on the bumper came from the drinking glass that you assert Mr. O'Keefe was holding at the time of the alleged impact?
I didn't have an opportunity to inspect the glass, but the glass was broken and there was glass on the bumper. That's all I know.
So you, as you sit here today, you have no basis to conclude that the glass on the bumper came from the glass that you depict as having been held by Mr. O'Keefe at the time of the alleged impact. Is that correct?
Well, you're mixing a couple things.
No.
The glass that was recovered from the scene, the broken glass is what he's speaking about. The glass, and that being the glass that was on the bumper, he's trying to ask if that is a match. Thank you, Missy.
Dr. Welcher,
So
if you can just answer my question.
I'm
If
trying
I
to.
need to rephrase it, I will.
Um,
I'll ask it a different way.
Please.
You have no basis, as you sit here today, to conclude that the glass on the bumper came from a drinking glass connected to Mr. O'Keefe, do you?
Well, we have a picture of a broken glass at the scene. So I wouldn't say we have no basis. We don't necessarily have enough to conclude it's from it, though.
This guy.
Do you had
We are, Marianne.
depictions in your test with Mr. O'Keefe holding a glass, correct?
Correct.
My question is, you have no evidence to show at all other than, and I'm talking evidence, testing information. You're saying you have no evidence that shows that the glass on the bumper is not the same glass as you showed on your slides as being found supposedly at the scene. You have no test evidence that that's the same glass, do you?
So again, the one I have at my testing obviously was not the same glass. We have pictures of a broken bar glass in the snow near,
JK, did you figure out how to use them? If you need help, just ask. We do. Like, I need a sticker that says yes or no. Somebody remind me that.
where Mr. O'Keefe's body was. We have glass fragments on the rear of the bumper. That's the extent of my knowledge on the correlation between those two.
So, do you,
Dude, do you not understand that SUV glass, the glass on the bumper of the SUV, stayed there? You guys know how long it stayed there and how far it traveled, and you're telling he can't know. Like, he wouldn't make that decision if he knew, right?
you said you reviewed the reports and testimonies of various common.
No, Jamie, when you go to type the comment box, there's the smiley face for the emojis, and then there's a star. The star is where all the subscriber stickers are.
Wealth representatives, correct? That's in your report.
Correct, in the initial.
In the initial, right, correct. And some of those reports included forensic scientists
Not emojis.
who work for the Massachusetts State Police, correct?
I believe that's correct.
And you put those in your report as documents that you reviewed, correct?
Correct.
And as you sit here today, it's your testimony. You don't know whether in any of the reports of
There
the
you go.
Massachusetts State Police, there is an answer to the question of whether there's any connection at all between the glass found in the snow and the glass on the bumper.
I recall it being inconclusive.
Oh, so you recall that the testing was inconclusive?
I don't remember what testing they did, but for example, when they put the tail light fragments back together, they were able to deduce that the fragments were from the tail light. I don't think they attempted to do that with the glass.
Assume that there has been testing of the glass on the bumper, and assume that that testing conclusively determines that the glass on the bumper is not the glass that was found in the snow.
Okay,
Assume that.
okay.
How would that affect your analysis?
I'd want to know where the glass came from, but we still have a whole bunch of other elements.
Like what?
So I don't think it would affect the end results.
So would it have any part in your analysis with my assumption that the glass on the bumper is not the
new
the
trial.
glass that's associated with the broken glass that was supposedly found in the snow?
Yes, I mean, we always want to have as much
Thank you, Lucy.
answers or as many answers as possible. So I would want to know if we could figure out where it came from.
And wouldn't the fact, assuming that the test results show there's no connection, meaning the glass on the bumper is different from the glass in the snow, wouldn't that be contrary to your theory of what happened in some way?
It depends on when the glass was actually broken. The glass was in his hand, at least that's the testimonial evidence I have seen. So it depends on whether it's broken from contact with the rear of the vehicle or broken with contact.
This is my actual real life husband, and I just absolutely love him. You heard that, right? Aaron just caught something. Hold on. Listen closely.
So there's no connection, meaning the glass on the bumper is different from the glass in the snow. Wouldn't that be contrary to your theory of what happened in some way?
It depends on when the glass was actually broken. The glass was in his hand, at least that's the testimonial evidence I have seen.
What testimonial evidence? Nobody was
Can
there.
somebody screen record this part for me so it's easier for me to make this into a video later? I need somebody to hit the screen record because you guys get the comments and everything. Hold on. Go back a few seconds. Somebody screen record. Anybody screen record? You ready?
Assume that there
1, 2, 3.
I don't remember what testing they did, but for example, when they put the taillight fragments back together, they were able to deduce that the fragments were from the taillight. I don't think they attempted to do that with the glass.
Assume that there has been testing of the glass on the bumper, and assume that that testing conclusively determines that the glass on the bumper is not the glass that was found in the snow.
Okay,
Assume that.
okay.
How would that affect your analysis?
I'd want to know where the glass came from, but we still have a whole bunch of other elements.
Like
So I
what?
don't think it would affect the end results.
So would it have any part in your analysis with my assumption that the glass on the bumper is not the glass that's associated with the broken glass that was supposedly found in the snow?
Yes, I mean, we always want to have as much answers or as many answers as possible. So I would want to know if we could figure out where it came from.
And wouldn't the fact, assuming that the test results show there's no connection, meaning the glass on the bumper is different from the glass in the snow, wouldn't that be contrary to your theory of what happened in some way?
It depends on when the glass was actually broken. The glass was in his hand, at least that's the testimonial evidence I have seen. So it depends on whether it's broken from contact with the rear of the vehicle or broken with contact on.
Again, sir, what testimonial evidence? Yesterday you said you didn't listen to other people giving testimony. The hell?
The ground.
Assume that the glass on the bumper
I do. Brittany.
is not the glass that was found in the snowbank. Doesn't that, at least in part, contradict your hypothesis as to whether there was contact by the Lexus with Mr. O'Keefe at 34 Fairview?
So if you recall on my slides, nowhere did we discuss that in my slides. So no, it wouldn't contradict it. I would want to know where that glass came from.
But you didn't seek that information, did you, sir, in your analysis to determine where the glass came from?
Of course I did. I read the reports about it.
But you sit here and you say you don't know the answer. There's steps you could have taken to get that answer quite easily. Couldn't you have, sir?
Not me. That's a material science expert.
You've been communicating with Lieutenant Tully, haven't you?
Correct.
Why?
You couldn't have asked Lieutenant Tully that question?
To my knowledge, he's not a material science expert.
But could he have told you the result of testing on that glass on the bumper and whether it was any way associated with the glass found in the snow? Wouldn't that have been an easy question to ask him? Just, has there been testing, and if so, what's the results?
Yes, but my knowledge from reading the reports was it was inconclusive.
But you didn't read all of the reports, did you, sir?
Nope.
Apparently not.
Let's turn to another
Okay, so whoever screen recorded that for me, thank you. Please send it to me. I would greatly appreciate it.
topic: laser scans. Part of your analysis involved conducting laser scans of portions of 1 Meadows Avenue, the house of Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
Correct.
Those laser scans were used, at least in part, to answer the question of whether the collision between Miss Reed's SUV and Mr. O'Keefe's Chevy Traverse at 1 Meadows.
Did you hear him speak? He didn't speak. So if you heard him, what you heard was the ghost.
At approximately 5:07 a.m. on January 29, 2022, caused the right rear taillight of the Lexus to break, correct?
Correct.
And in that analysis, inches literally matter, correct?
You want to
I'm not going to do it. I really want to do it. Some of you know where my mind went with this. Jamie, you know where my mind went. You guys... Inches matter.
get it as accurate as possible.
And the reason why inches matter is because, and we're going to get to this, you try, and you did it in your slide presentation on Direct, you tried to see whether the Lexus lined up with the Traverse such that there could be a break of the taillight. That was part of your analysis, correct?
So the main and the angles and the degree of overlap on the vehicles. And then we also looked at the damage.
Okay, somebody remind me I need to do an Inches Matter sticker for tomorrow. Because how can we not at this point? Why doesn't the higher-ups authority stop this circus? That's an excellent question. Here's another question for you. Why did they just give Bev Person of the Year award? All things we just don't know the answer to.
From the video, or actually it's just where the snow was knocked off the rear of the Chevy Traverse, and document the height of that.
You said the main part. I don't want to engage in semantics. I want to go to my question of, isn't part of the laser scan analysis to determine whether or not those two vehicles align sufficiently such that the Lexus could break, the taillight of the Lexus could break coming into contact with the Chevy Traverse? Wasn't that part of your analysis, at least in part?
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you, Julie.
And in that analysis, inches literally matter, correct?
It can, depending on which way you're going inches.
So the ring,
So are you saying it's not length, it's girth? The hell are we listening to? Thank you, JK.
camera at One Meadows. You're familiar with that ring camera, right? At
Correct.
One Meadows? That ring camera at One Meadows was used as part of the laser scan process that you and your firm Aperture performed at One Meadows on October 2nd, 2024. Do I have the date correct?
I believe so, but like the videos were not literally
Thank
used
you.
during the laser scans. We took the laser
We have to add humor in because some of this stuff just gets really dark. So we have to add some humor in where we find it, guys.
scans, the video, combine them
Fine.
together in a process called photogrammetry.
Okay, let's get this down to the fundamentals. You used, and that was my question, Your Honor, if we could publish the exhibit with regard to the ring camera.
Sure. What
Just
exhibit is
I got my exhibit.
Thank you for the follows, guys. And if you want
Dr.
access,
Welcher, you recognize
if you guys want access to our awesome stickers and you need to find out how to do that, let us know. We will help you figure out how to subscribe.
that ring camera as being at One Meadows. You discussed it, as a matter of fact, on your direct testimony, correct?
Yes.
Now,
Oh, I know,
that
me
ring
too.
camera
Arca's gonna be awesome.
was utilized as part of your laser scan process, correct? It was used.
So
Yes, and anyone who hasn't seen the video of the man painted in all blue doing the Aperture fake commercial video thing, Google the hell out, well, TikTok search the hell out of that because that is funny. I got sent that and thank you so much for sending it to me. That was gold.
you're confusing laser scan and photogrammetry. The video, the laser scanners are together used in the photogrammetry.
It
The
is.
camera and the laser scans are not used necessarily with each other.
Was that Ring camera used for any part of your work?
Absolutely, the photogrammetry.
That's
just
our
need to
word
be
of
able
the
to
day,
finish
guys.
my question, sir. Was
Photogrammetry.
Sorry.
Ring camera used for any part of your work at One Meadows on October 2nd, 2024?
Yes.
And it was used for what purpose?
In the photogrammetric process, to establish the position and dimensions of various
Right,
things
listen.
in the video. So then we could go back and overlay the vehicles and
Fact.
track the tracks in the snow, as well as look at the damage to the vehicles.
Right. So this was
Right.
used to, as a basis, not the only one, to establish dimensions of the other work that was done in analysis at One Meadows, correct?
Correct.
You can take that down, Mr. Wope. You know that the Ring camera at One Meadows, in existence when Aperture did the work on October 2nd, 2024, was different than the Ring camera that was in existence on January 29th of 2022, the date where you went through to see if those two vehicles aligned. Is that correct? The cameras are different.
That is correct.
And you know that,
Coco?
that the cameras are different, and you knew that as part of your analysis, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all votes for who wants a comeback to reality sticker, please.
Did you document the differences between the two cameras as part of any work performed at One Meadows?
Yes.
And
Okay.
did you measure any differences there might have been between the location of the new Ring camera from the older one that was in existence on?
You guys know once we get to 85 subscribers, that unlocks more stickers. We'll get past 50, and then I won't have to rotate them out like they're like a lineup.
January 29th of 2022.
No, what we did is use the current Ring camera in conjunction with the old Ring camera, and with the laser scans, we're able to, again, map the points onto the scene. That's why I showed you the report from the photogrammetry software that reported our error.
Sir, my question was just measurement, not your process.
Oh.
Did you measure the difference
I don't believe so.
between where the old camera was and where the new camera was?
No, it was angled slightly more to the right, though.
How would you know?
Julie, that song's gonna be in my head all day now. Back to life, back to reality. Thank you for that. And yeah, I sent out 2 subs this morning.
Can you chill out?
Yeah, chill out, Nala. I sent out 2. I know you're not telling me to shut up. You're in my damn house. You shut up. The hell? If you don't like how many times I pause it, then scroll up or go watch it yourself on YouTube. Damn. Seriously. And I forgot what I was going to say. Yes, this is today. I forgot what I was going to say, so now that just means I have to hit pause longer. What the hell? What was I going to say?
Even I forgot now.
Oh, yeah, I sent out 2 subs this morning because I got the money from TikTok from last week, so I used that to send out the 2 subs this morning. So the money goes right back in, guys.
Know that if you were not retained on January 29th of 2022, how would you know where the original angles were?
Because when you look at the first camera, the one on January 22nd, it's here. The new one is slightly over to the right.
That's an eyeball approximation analysis. That's not a measurement, correct?
Well, I don't know that we actually measured it, but we accounted for it and corrected for it. But you can see, for example, what the original one shows, for example, to the left-hand side compare it to what the new one shows to the left-hand side, and it's angled more to the right.
Sir,
Thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the subscriber family.
you have experience with Ring cameras, correct?
I do.
And I think a lot of members of the public have experience with Ring cameras. You can move just,
No, I pause it because I think it's rude to talk over people, so I pause it instead of talking over because you can't hear then.
the camera
Thank
portion
you.
ever so slightly and change significantly the angle of the camera, can't you, what it captures? Just a small turn,
Potentially.
right? Even a millimeter turn can make a change. A 2 millimeter, a 1 inch can make a significant change with regard to what the camera captures, correct?
Could, sure.
So,
What can 1 inch do?
did you measure whether the newer camera that was present on October 2nd, 2024 was installed to the
That's
left? And I'm
okay.
talking measure to the right, to the top, or the bottom relative to
Truly.
the camera that was there on January 29th of 2022.
So, we solved for the camera
I'm
position.
asking if you measured, sir.
Oh, no, we didn't measure.
So,
Are you telling me that you... Never mind. And don't all guys measure?
let's talk about some other differences with regard to cameras and Ring cameras. Different Ring cameras
No, Taylor,
can
it's
have
not.
different levels of distortion, correct?
Potentially.
Yes, Gail.
Cameras, well, are you saying that all Ring cameras have the same level of distortion?
No.
I actually put it in a video before coming live where he was asked to not look at his watch. So if you need to see it back, I'm not going to go back and rewind it, but I did put a video of it before we started the live. So it is on my page.
But again, they're mass produced, so you could have some that have the same exact distortion. You could have some that have different.
And you don't know the comparative distortion between what I'm just going to now refer to as the old Ring camera that was there January 29, 2022, and the camera that you saw on October 2024, which I'll refer to the new camera. You don't know the difference in the distortion between those cameras as you sit here today, do you?
So we know enough information that if the distortions had been different, our errors would have been too high. And so the fact that our errors are within acceptable, or what's called an RMS error, we know that the distortions are similar enough to give us accurate measurements.
Sir, that is speculation. That
It's
is
not.
not data. That is
Yes.
not a measurement. You didn't measure the distortion, sir, did you? If the cameras, you didn't have the old camera to do it.
We didn't, but we had images from the old camera. And then when we get images from the new camera and solve those camera properties and then overlay data from the old images to the new images with the point clouds, if that distortion is too great, we will have too high of errors in our project, which is why I showed the error report from the photogrammetry process to show that we have checked for that and documented that our errors are in acceptable range so that we have confidence in our results.
You do not have information from the manufacturer of Ring. You didn't present it, and you don't have it as to what is the acceptable level of distortion for the analysis that you did, do you, sir?
So you mean to tell me you went and bought a duplicate Lexus and a duplicate of John O'Keefe's video, but you didn't buy the same camera and test that theory out? The hell? This is the trial of Karen Reed, Massachusetts versus Karen Reed.
The
You have
photogrammetry,
that from Ring.
and I don't have it for Ring, but I
Thank
don't need
you.
it from Ring.
So now let's go to, if cameras have different
Right,
levels
Ashley?
of distortion,
Yes.
that would change the analysis in reconciling the difference between their angles.
Thank
That's
you
a
for the
pretty
follow,
straightforward
Taylor.
proposition, sir. Wouldn't it?
So it depends on how much difference it is, but we have accounted for that.
With which model of the Ring camera was present at One Meadows on January 29th, 2022? Which model?
I don't know. I'd have to go look through the data.
Do you believe I'm not going to take up the time to have you look, but do you really believe you've got the model of the Ring camera that was in existence on January 29th of 2022?
I don't know. I
You
need to
didn't
look through
present
the
it in your direct testimony, did you, sir?
I did not.
So do you have the model of the Ring camera that was present at One Meadows on October 2nd, 2024?
No.
So you don't have even the model for either one of them.
Nope, but we have videos from both of them and scans of the scene.
So now let's talk about another aspect of Ring
This
cameras.
guy.
They have mechanisms, as I was talking about earlier, that allow the user to adjust the camera angle, correct?
Correct.
And do you know whether there was a difference in the camera angle between the two cameras?
Yes, as we already discussed, there was a slight difference in the
But
angles.
you don't have a measurement of that, right, sir?
Correct.
Okay.
But we accounted for it.
So
That is a reasonable doubt. Accounting and not getting the exact measurement.
wouldn't a difference in models of Ring cameras be relevant at all to your analysis of trying to reconcile any differences between them?
So if you have video from both of them and you have laser scans with three-dimensional geometry of the scene, you can go in and it's called a reverse camera analysis and solve for the distortion properties. The scans give you the real world dimensions. So once you know the real world dimensions, you can then go in, and then solve for the camera lens properties based upon the real world distortions. So for example, if there's a little bit of bending at the end, the laser scan data will show that, and you can correct for that
And Crystal.
knowing information about the laser scanner.
I'll
or
ask
the
the
laser
question.
scan data.
I'm sorry, I thought you finished, sir. When asked
Maybe that 400,000 wasn't enough for him to buy a duplicate Ring camera. Don't spend it all in one place, though. Hey.
the question again, because it's a narrow question.
Ooh,
Wouldn't-
Samantha just got one subscription. Thank you, Samantha Patton.
Knowing the difference in the models be relevant? That's all I'm asking. Wouldn't it be relevant to your analysis of reconciling the differences to them? Wouldn't
No.
it be relevant?
No,
So you think the different models are irrelevant to any process you occasioned at one? It's irrelevant.
so the analysis of the video itself is more important than the models?
I'm not asking if it's more important. I'm just asking, would it be relevant?
No, I don't believe it'd be relevant.
Now let's go to another aspect of the cameras.
Since check and see if you got that subscription. Make sure you thank Samantha P for that, guys. We only need 3 more till we get access to more stickers, which means we have more stickers. That speaks for itself. So if you haven't subscribed and you need help subscribing, let us know.
Are key parameters in a camera that the software needs to know focal length?
It is?
Is imaging size something that is an important parameter in a camera?
Yes,
Are sampling characteristics an important parameter in cameras?
can be.
Is the principal point, you understand that concept, sir? Is that an important parameter in a camera?
Define how you're using principal point.
Sure. A principal point of an image is the point where a camera's direct line of sight, called, as you may know, the optical axis, intersects the image plane. Does that
Gotcha,
sound
yes.
familiar?
Mhm.
So isn't that the image's mathematical center, the principal point?
More or less, yes.
And for high
We've got another subscription, Angie. Thank you. Welcome to the family. We got 2 new subscriber family members.
accuracy photogrammetric
And we're on a
work,
subwave now.
it's important to know if the lens is mounted centered over the image sensor due to the small manufacturing variances, correct?
Could be important.
And if the principal point
And our flash goal just started down below. It's sending one of the GOAT. So just 1 by 40 different people. It only counts it once.
is the center of the image.
Okay.
That's relevant. So doesn't that affect the mathematical calculation
You guys are knocking
of
this
the
one
light
out.
ray geometry?
It could.
So the variance in manufacturing between cameras is a known issue. Do you agree?
I do.
There's small manufacturing variances that affect one of the key components of the fundamental parameters of the camera, namely the principal point, right?
Correct.
Did you perform the camera calibration of the camera in place in October of
You can never be too sure,
2024?
Monica.
Yes, so within photogrammetry, we calibrated the photogrammetric analysis to the camera.
21
Did
more,
you
guys.
address the principal point in that
Thank you.
calibration? Do you have documentation that you addressed that important factor, the principal point?
So the checking of the RMS error in the software takes into account, sums up all the potential errors in the measurement, which would include that.
Okay. Sir, you know the importance of all of these topics because the output of all the work Aperture did at One Meadows,
I sent myself one too.
almost all of it, springs from that camera, correct?
It starts there.
Okay, it starts there. And if the starting point is wrong, then where you go from the starting point is going to be at least potentially wrong, correct?
Potentially.
Would you agree that Ring cameras have a swiveling mechanism
Right, Danielle?
so that the user can adjust the camera angle?
Some do.
You nailed that right. I have a toothache from all of this. 100% I do. I do. We need 19 more. So if you guys haven't sent your goat stickers, it's one coin. If you guys could send 19, only one per person, we can knock this out of the park and we'll be at 21.
You know whether the camera that was in existence on January 29, 2022 had a swiveling mechanism?
I believe it did.
Believe, do you know?
I do not know for a fact, but
you-
those style of Ring cameras on the surveillance have adjustability that includes angle.
But you don't know whether the camera that was there, the specific camera on January 29, 2022, had a swiveling mechanism or not, correct?
Correct.
And do you know whether the camera that you saw in October of 2024 had a swiveling mechanism on it?
It did.
And where
12
did you
more.
document the fact that it had a swiveling mechanism?
I think we have photos of the camera.
Did you document it in writing, and did you document the tolerance of the swiveling mechanism?
No.
Yes,
Let's
Griffin.
go to, and again, all of the camera, this camera that you use is the starting point for your laser scan and photogrammetry process, correct?
Correct.
All right. Let's go to another topic. On your direct testimony, as I recall, you stated essentially from
Thank you, Kyle.
various information that you lined up in the video, and we're talking about the lining up of the Lexus with the Traverse.
For anybody just coming in, our flash goal has started. We need, I think it was 12 more of the goats. That's one coin. It only counts when you send it for the first time. So if you already sent one, it's not going to count for the goal. So we need 12 more for us to knock that goal out and be at 21. Finally be at 21. We're also on a subwave, guys. So if you guys want to subscribe and you don't know how, let us know. Subwaves are great times to do it. And with just a couple more subscriptions, they'll unlock more stickers for us. So I don't have to keep rotating the ones out. We could have them all at one time.
And this is at One Meadows. And
Thank you,
so,
guys.
as I
2 more.
understand what you did, sir,
2
is
more.
you took what are called point clouds, 3D images, created them for the Lexus. You took created 3D images, synonym point clouds.
We are now Flash Goal winners, number 21. We got it. Thank you guys so much.
Of the Traverse, and then you attempted to line them up to determine, among other things, whether they would align sufficient so that the Lexus could line up and potentially hit the Traverse such that the tail light of the Lexus could be broken. Was that at least part of your analysis?
That was part, there was more.
So,
Lisa, you just subscribed. Welcome to the subscriber family. Thank you so much. We only need one more to unlock more stickers. If we can get one more person, we get more stickers to play with.
you showed a slide, a few slides, and with your honor's permission, what I'd like to do is to start with slide 90.
All right, do you have any problem with Dr. Welcher keeping his printed copy that he's using?
I have no problem with the printed copy, your honor.
Just his watch and his laptop.
90.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for the follows.
Tiny?
You see the,
Yes, yeah.
Does that slide that's part of your presentation depict a view from the top of the Lexus on the right and the Chevy Traverse on the left?
Correct.
And is that depicting contact between the
Veronica just subscribed as well. Welcome to the family, Veronica. We should now have access to more stickers. And I believe after that, it allows me to send out for subscriptions for free, ones that I don't have to pay for. So if that's the case, keep your eye out for a subscription.
two vehicles?
It is?
Hi, Patricia.
Now
have
let's
a great day. Thank you.
zero in a closer look, and that is
Yes,
a
Susan.
contact point. Am I correct?
Correct. I mean, there's multiple points, there's more than
Multiple
one.
points, but it shows more clearly the contact
Correct.
between the two vehicles. Now, if we could
Yeah, 2 more for the subway to be completed.
the
soon, yeah.
next,
Thank
and that
you,
is number
Tammy.
91, Mr. Wolf. So, Your Honor, 91. I think these are just going to go in order for a
Thank you,
few, and I'll
thank
keep
you.
announcing them. So, this is 91.
BJ just sent a subscription. Look and make sure you got that subscription and make sure you say thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Welcome to the subscriber family.
Same vehicles, just a different viewpoint. Is that correct, Dr. Welcher?
Correct. This
One
and
more.
the next
I
slide.
just want to stay
I know.
with this one. I
Hold
just
on a
asked the
second.
question, does it show the contact?
right, so go ahead.
BJ, you sent a subscriber, but you don't have one yourself. Did you mean to get your own subscription? Oh no. It won't let you. Here, let me put the thing up and you could just click it. There. Click that. It should take you to it. Just be nice. Okay. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And answer.
This slide and all the other slides, we're trying to show the angle of contact, but because it's two-dimensional image, you're losing some perspective. For example, here you're seeing the chrome piece on Mr. O'Keefe Chevrolet, which is on the right. You're seeing it obviously behind where the Lexus is. So we were trying to show it at a whole bunch of different angles to try and illustrate the degree of closeness or lack thereof.
Alrighty. So
Thank you.
is it correct that on your direct examination, you said in sum and substance, we looked at the degree of overlap and there's only about a 2 to 3 millimeters of overlap between the vehicles? Is that what you recall saying on direct?
That is correct.
And that you stated that that 2
At the bottom, at the very bottom when you subscribe, there's a little circle that you can hardly see that you have to tap to put a check mark in. See if that's what's stopping you. That's what used to do it to me too.
supposed 2 to 3 millimeters of overlap was insufficient to cause the tail light of the Lexus to contact the rear of the Chevrolet. You recall saying that?
That's correct.
Now, I would like you to look at that. This is from your slide presentation. Is that not showing contact between the two vehicles?
Oh, it absolutely is not. what you're seeing is a portion of the vehicle that is behind the area. Keep in mind the angle, the Lexus is angled off to the left. So the area that you see
Yeah, that dot at the bottom is really tiny. It's on the left-hand side.
here is actually, in this case, in front of where the taillight is. This is why we tried showing it from a whole bunch of different angles, because when you try and take a two-dimensional image and look at it, you see stuff in the background. So and again, this is why in the computer, we overlaid them, looked at the measurements, and
Welcome to the subscriber family. We did it, guys. Our subway has been completed. Thank you so much. And welcome to the family, Tammy.
computer where you don't have this, we have the three-dimensional
back.
measurements, and it does not hit.
They sure
Where
did, Chastity.
did you
Sure did.
show in your slide presentation what you just said that it doesn't show in overlap?
So
Where?
it shows a contact. It definitely contacted, I'm sorry, Mr. Reporter, down below here. It does not show a contact here. So to answer your question, all the next slides were our attempt to do that. So all the next slides is your answer.
We're going to go to those next slides. So just to be clear, you're saying that that depiction does not show any contact between the taillight of the Lexus and the Chevy Traverse.
So the upper taillight, just to be clear, because the lower taillight is much closer.
Well, it's not only much closer, it's in contact, isn't it, sir?
It's very close. It's probably within an inch of being in contact.
Oh, so you state that even the lower part of the taillight is not making contact?
So if, again, maybe there's a photo we could show or a scan. That is on the rear of the vehicle, and it contacts on the corner, which is
We practice patience with parameters. We like to control fast forwarding.
just around, so maybe like an inch or so in front of it on the
Inches
corner.
do matter.
I'm just going with what you presented in your slide
Well, let's go to the next
presentation.
slides and then
Sir,
maybe
I
see.
will determine which slides we go to on my questioning.
I'm just hoping
So
to
now
answer your
let's
question.
go to Mr. Wolf. the
Holy
next-
shit! Alessi! Oh my god! I am so proud of him right now. Let's go. We have to hear that again. Oh yeah, we're running this back for sure.
So
Where?
it shows a contact. It definitely contacted, I'm sorry, Mr. Reporter, down below here. It does not show a contact here. So to answer your question, all the next slides were our attempt to do that. So all the next slides is your answer.
We're going to go to those next slides. So just to be clear, you're saying that that depiction does not show any contact between the taillight of the Lexus and the Chevy Traverse.
So the upper taillight, just to be clear, because the lower taillight is much.
Wait, can somebody screen record this too? I want your reactions to be a part of the video I make. Screen record this and send it to me, please.
Closer.
Well, it's not only much closer, it's in contact, isn't it, sir?
It's very close. It's probably within an inch of being in contact.
Oh, so you state that even the lower part of the taillight is not
Just
making
this much.
contact?
So if, again, maybe there's a photo we could show or a scan. That is on the rear of the vehicle, and it contacts on the corner, which is just around, so maybe like an inch or so in front of it on the corner.
I'm just going with what you presented in your slide.
Well,
Determine which slides we go to on. State that even the lower part of the taillight is not making contact?
So if, again, maybe there's a photo we could show or a scan. That is on the rear of the vehicle, and it contacts on the corner, which is just around, so maybe like an inch or so in front of it on the corner.
I'm just going with what you presented in your slide
Well, let's go to the next
presentation.
slides and then
Sir,
maybe
I
see.
will determine which slides we go to on my questioning.
I'm just hoping
So
to answer
now
your
let's
question.
go to Mr. Wolf, the next slide.
There we go.
I am so proud of him. I am so proud to call him my second husband.
I'm not.
Aaron says, I'm not. I loved it. you guys knew this was going to happen eventually. I'm surprised that the state, or the Commonwealth, didn't object. Honestly, I'm really, really, really surprised. Yes, that was a total Alessi move. Thank you, Alessi, for letting us see you be the man.
In your presentation, my question is zeroing in. Are you saying that that slide does not show contact between the tail light of Ms. Reed's Lexus and any part of the Chevy Traverse?
Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly what it shows. You can see a little better here. Again, we tried all these different angles, which is why all these slides are in there.
Right, Lisa?
But you can see some of the geometry of the light. This structure, and again, remember I said the Chevy kind of curves in as it goes up a little bit?
Let's go to the next slide. 40.
In case you guys were wondering, I know court let out early today. We're making the most of every moment that we have. Yeah, it's over for the day. We're just making the most of every moment. I mean, I could drink a Mountain Dew every time he says slide. 100%, yeah.
Yes, please.
No, you weren't missing nothing. Except the bomb that Alessi just dropped, smacking that dude right back into place. Thank
Is it
you.
working? 41, Your Honor.
Do I get too much joy out of seeing the Dream
That's
Team
exhibit 41?
like perform? And I don't mean that way.
Because that's not my slide.
I mean doing their jobs. My understanding is if they change that, I'm gonna be pissed.
So, Mr. Alessi, is this exhibit number 41 or is this from the PowerPoint? Because,
Slide 41.
I know, Gail, right?
Slide.
okay.
Me too, Lisa. Me too.
Yes.
So I'm putting this up because I want to show an actual photograph of that tail light, and I would like you, sir, to focus on the
The reason for the half day was because a juror asked ahead of time if they can go to a doctor's appointment. So they're giving a half day so the juror can go to the doctor's.
quarter panel tail light in each. Do you see a jutting out of the quarter panel tail light in that photo? Do you see it jut out?
So
Right
I don't
here.
know, if you and I are talking the same thing. There are little fins here.
Right here.
Correct. Now, what I'd like to do is to go back
I have no
To
idea,
the-
Netter.
depiction we were just looking at, and that depiction doesn't show the jutting out, does it?
Nope.
No, it does.
Nope.
Those are actually more on the side of the vehicle. You can't.
What it shows us now is this. It shows it as if it's a squiggly. I'm sorry, a tail light doesn't do the squiggly, sir.
See them in this image?
Correct. You
But-
can't see that.
Hold on a second, I wasn't finished. But
Sir.
they are 100% there. We actually did special hand scans with a hand scanner of the tail light to put it back on to the vehicle.
You say they're 100% there, but you can't see it in that depiction, can you? The jutting out that you could see in the two-dimensional one we just saw. You can't see it.
I can't see who's
Right,
behind that
Cindy?
wall because it's being blocked by something. I can't see on the side of the tail light because it's on the side I can't see. It's being blocked.
Sir,
You know, let me just tell you this. I get it. You think you're a big, bad doctor that knows everything. You went to school for it, so you should be respected. But guess what? So did my second husband, so respect him back.
my
The
question
hell?
is simple. You cannot see the jutting out of the tail light in this depiction, can you?
Correct.
Okay, now let's go on to the next question in this topic.
I hope not, Mandy.
You could have easily solved what you consider to be the issues you had with trying to show it lining up, couldn't you, sir? You had an easy solution for that.
I took the best solution.
In your opinion.
I'm not sure what
You
you're referring
had
to.
3D images, correct?
We
I
have the
did.
sister wife stickers.
You could have shown and measured 3D images to get almost the exact contact point and almost the exact dimensions if you had just used the 3D images that you had available to you. Isn't that correct?
That's exactly what we did. When I went through the video analysis, I showed you how we overlaid the point clouds, the 3D scans, on top of each vehicle. So we took the, I'm sorry, we took
Sir,
the
please
vehicles.
don't interrupt.
Hold on.
Your
Hold
Honor,
on.
he keeps referencing my hand and saying I'm doing something when I'm not, and I think that's distracting to the jury.
So-
I'm not interrupting him.
Hold on. Let the witness answer the
I
question.
am. I'm just holding my hand like this, Your Honor. He keeps saying that I'm doing
Mr.
something.
Alessi, please.
Hold the hell on. Dude, somebody screen record this part too, because this goes in a video too, and I need you to send it to me after you screen record it. Hold the hell on. I know you did not just talk to our second husband that way.
Is to get almost the exact contact point and almost
Who's screen
the
recording?
exact dimensions if you had just used the 3D images that you had available to you. Isn't that correct?
That's exactly what we did. When I went through the video analysis, I showed you how we overlaid the point clouds, the 3D scans, on top of each vehicle. So we took the, I'm sorry, we took
Sir,
the
please
vehicles.
don't interrupt.
Hold on.
Your
Hold
Honor,
on.
he keeps referencing my hand and saying I'm doing something when I'm not, and I think that's distracting to the jury.
So-
I'm not interrupting him.
Hold on. Let the witness answer the
I
question.
am. I'm just holding my hand like this, Your Honor. He keeps saying that I'm doing
Mr.
something.
Alessi, please.
All right.
Go ahead, finish the answer, Dr. Lopez.
Again, in the photogrammetric analysis, I showed the video. I showed how we overlaid the point cloud on top of the video. That proves that the way we solved it, correct camera characteristics, matches. Otherwise, that would be distorted. We overlaid the scans of the Lexus into the photogrammetric analysis. We overlaid the scans of the scene into the photogrammetric analysis. We overlaid all that stuff into the analysis. We did exactly what you're suggesting.
You could have.
To clear that up, you guys, what he's doing, he's indicating that Alessi is trying to interrupt him simply because he's holding his hand a certain way. That is what that was all about. And I love being able to see your guys' comments. So whoever screen recorded that, please don't forget to send it to me. You might need to do it through Facebook Messenger. But damn. Quit trying to imply that our husband has done something wrong, because our husband is near perfect.
Easily address this issue by the following. If you really
Hi, how are
believe there
you?
was no contact or not sufficient contact, you could have produced a graphic that shows a gap between the two vehicles. A graphic, couldn't you? That's not a graphic.
What is that?
Sir, I get to ask the questions and you are to answer them subject to the judge's ruling. So my question is, couldn't you have created a graphic that
That's-
would have better shown the issue that you are creating or talking about today? That's my question. Couldn't you have created a graphic?
We did. We created a whole bunch of graphics.
You called what we just saw a graphic?
Yes.
Well, if there's a gap, why isn't there then something that shows a clear gap?
Because when you have the angulation of the vehicles, you have perspective. When you're looking at it, even if you do a top down, you see everything projected onto a single flat plane. So you can't tell the height of things. So when you see things in this dimension, you can't necessarily see depth of things. So you lose in two-dimensional images, you lose one dimension depending on which way you're looking. That's why I showed it from all these different angles to try and show exactly what you're saying. We had graphics to do that.
3D images allow you to show perspectives for 360 degrees, correct? Is that correct?
That is correct.
So, none of what you presented in your slideshow shows the contact points from 360 degrees, does it?
I don't understand your question. Are you asking if I showed it at every single, I went through 360 slides that showed it at every single degree?
Sir, let's move on. I think I've made the point.
So I'm going to strike the comment,
Okay.
Mr. Alessi.
Dr. Welcher, let's go to the next topic.
Oh, sorry. I forgot.
And keep with these two depictions.
Do look so confused.
Are these two
Right,
images
Peggy?
point clouds or 3D images? Are these two,
Those are one and the same thing. They're yes.
I would use them as synonym. Which term of the two do you want to use? Point cloud or 3D images?
Both are fine. It's a 3D image composed of points, which
Okay, so let's just call them 3D images, so we
Okay.
can do this more quickly. The Lexus and the Chevy Traverse.
Why the hell were you just looking at Bev? You saw that, right? He just looked at Bev to bail him out. It wasn't just a glance, it was a lasting glance.
Depicted there are both 3D images of those vehicles, correct?
correct,
And Aperture created the 3D images, correct?
correct.
Sir, did you do these scans and did you personally create these images?
No, one of the assistants at Aperture did.
So you're speaking about what somebody else did at Aperture, correct?
They were doing it at my direction. And for example, the Lexus scan, I showed the photographs. You can see the gentleman that works at Aperture, Mike Morelli, was scanning them for me while I was doing the rest of the inspection. And then the hand scanning of the rear taillight was done by another engineer. I was out there with him doing it, taking measurements.
But did you put his name on it? I will tell you, when I got my journalism degree, somebody stole my article and plagiarized it and put their own name on it. They didn't put my name on it. You can't do that, sir.
And then same thing with the Chevy Traverse.
My question is, you didn't do the creation of these 3D images, did you?
The individual images, no.
All right, so let's go to these individual images. These are 3D images, is that your testimony?
Yes.
Right.
Let's look at the taillight.
Okay.
That's not a 3D image, that's a Photoshop, isn't it?
Nope.
Oh, so it's your testimony that that taillight is a 3D image?
That absolutely is a 3D image. The way you can tell is when you get up near the chrome,
Yes, today, Selena.
because lasers don't like shiny objects, you start to get a scatter. So see all these dots here? If that was a photo, you wouldn't have these dots.
Let's go to the Chevy Traverse.
Message me that, Jamie.
Let's, Mr. Woke, zero in on the content, yeah. There's grain on that taillight, in the taillight. That's a 3D image of a taillight, isn't it, sir?
They're both 3D images.
Well, I just want to stay with one. That taillight is a 3D image, and one of the ways you can tell is it's got all that grainy material on it, correct?
Correct.
Now let's go back, Mr. Woke, to the Lexus.
You just said a second ago it wasn't a 3D image. Now you're saying it is, sir. Make up your damn mind. The hell?
Let's now go to the bumper.
But do you want me to explain the difference?
No,
Okay.
thank you. I would like to go to the bumper. Do you see any grainy?
If you haven't heard of this case, I have every day of trial from day one on my YouTube. I put them there at the end of each live, so you can go to Michelle's Criminal Musings on YouTube and you could view all of them. I also have tabs at the top that has the videos I've made on this case. Right on my TikTok here.
The predominance of any grainy image on the
you.
bumper?
There's a
yeah.
little bit. So for example, when you get near edges, it has a hard time with edges.
I'm
So
sorry,
you-
the bumper cover.
Right.
See the bumper cover up above?
This whole thing is the bumper cover. That's the step pad. That's the rear body panel
You're
or the rear
welcome.
deck lid.
I'm talking about the step pad, sir. Just the step pad of the bumper?
Are you asking about just from here to here?
Correct. The bumper step
Can we
pad.
zoom in on it?
Thank you.
Pardon me?
Can we zoom in on it?
Sure. Do you see any?
Yeah, I see graininess.
Let's go over to.
Right in here, you can see it all through here. You see it through here.
Well, I'm talking about the step pad, not the entire bumper. I'm just talking about the step pad.
Right. So you're zooming in on the bumper.
Right.
The step pad is this structure up here.
We're going to move up. It just takes a while. So your testimony is that is a.
Can you zoom in more?
That's, you would like it zoomed in?
Yes, sir.
Sure. Your testimony is that that is a 3D image, not a Photoshop step bumper cover. Is that correct?
So we have mapped the color over the 3D scans. We used 2 separate scanners. If you recall, when I got out to Miss Reed's vehicle, that taillight was gone. So we had to replace the taillight.
Talking about the bumper cover, not the tail light.
Okay, I'm explaining the process.
I'm just asking about the bumper cover, not the process.
So focus your answer on the.
Polite pass,
That
sir.
is a laser scan.
Okay, so your
That's a 3D
testimony
model.
is the step part of the bumper cover
Ray Parker.
is a 3D image from a laser scan, and it's not a Photoshop. That's your testimony.
Absolutely.
And you didn't perform the work for the 3D that you claim the bumper step up is. You didn't do that work to produce that depiction, did you, sir? Somebody
So-
else in your firm did it.
So this is all done at my direction. The engineers that work for me, so I'm telling them what to do. I'm not the one punching the keys.
That's my
I'm saying,
question.
I need you to do this, and this. Use the hand scanner, go scan the light. I need to put this back in because it was missing when we got to it. So no, I'm not punching the keys.
Okay, so
Okay. Word over, please.
Saiba. Guys, I know I'm stopping this a lot, but we're making the most of every single second. Every single second of today that we can. Every single second. And make sure after the live is over, you guys send me your screen recordings because they're going to be gold. I cannot believe this guy. Trying to talk to our husband that way. Like, the hell? Has he lost his damn mind?
with
There we go. My understanding, yeah, court tomorrow. Yeah, we need the judge for Diddy. You know who we need? I'll show you exactly who we need to judge for this case. The one, the only, hold on, she's here somewhere. Yep. You guys know who that is, right? Samantha, you knew exactly who I was getting ready to say.
with regard to, no, we don't need to back up, Mr. Wolf. Isn't it correct that 3D images
Judge Darrow.
allow for proper and most accurate measurements as opposed to 2D images? Is that a correct general statement?
I mean, generally, yeah.
Okay, that's my question. So let's go to the next topic. Let's talk about hydraulics on the Lexus SUV. What type of hydraulic system does the Lexus SUV have?
So it has a mechanism, I believe it's actually pneumatic. It's air-based system that raises it up and down.
Do you know what the name of that system is, sir?
No, not off the top of my head.
Do you know how it works
I do.
specifically?
Well, I mean, I know generally that there's a button on the interior where you can raise and lower the ride height.
And is that the extent of your knowledge of that system on the Lexus?
No, again, I know when you park it, it'll drop down the ride height. When you adjust it for different roadway conditions, it'll change the
But you're wrong, sir. Not only does it drop, but when you switch it into gear, it raises up 2 inches as well.
ride height.
Do you know what the height tolerances are? In other words, the lowest to the highest?
I believe it's around 1.25 inches. At
Inch
one
and a-
point in time, I measured it. I don't remember off the top of my head.
So you believe it's 1.25 inches up and 1.25 inches down? How do you apply the 1.25 inches?
I recall the
I have no
total being
idea.
like 1.25 inches, but I measured it at one point in time. I just don't remember off the top of my head.
Would you be surprised to hear that the tolerance is 5 inches on that vehicle?
I would be surprised. I don't recall it being that much, but I would need to double check.
Assume
Mhm.
that the manual, as well as other informations, support that the tolerance is 5 inches and that specifically the vehicle can be raised 3 inches high and it can be lowered 2 inches. That's the basis for the 5. What was the suspension height of Miss Reed's Lexus that you used for your accident reconstruction analysis out front at 34 Fairview between 12 a.m. and 1 a.m. on January 29, 2022, to determine whether it was possible for the spoiler on the back of the Lexus to make contact with the eye of Mr. O'Keefe? If it was even possible, what did you use for a measurement of the suspension?
Matched the measurements from when the vehicle was tested, I believe on February 1st at the Canton Police Department.
What match did you make?
So we aligned the bottom of the taillight, actually the sheet metal right below the taillight. So we adjusted the height of the Lexus to match that.
Did you in any place document what level the Lexus was at the time of any testing, meaning the suspension? Did you document at all?
Yes.
Where?
When it was parked and when it switched into gear, it goes up and down.
Slide 107.
Can we have slide 107, Mr. Wolf?
I had a hole in my mouth.
And then if you could zoom in on the lower photograph,
An extra one.
the gentleman with the blue shirt. Zoom in a little more, please.
Wait,
So if I
when
may,
you say the
we
gentleman in the
matched
blue shirt, are you referring to yourself, sir?
the bottom of the sheet metal here, 2 photographs when it was
That's what most men say when they don't want to say the measurements that they had taken.
at the Canton Police Department.
Sir, my question is, where did you document whether the suspension was at 0, whether it was +3 or -2? Where did you document that?
Right here.
Slide to the left.
And-
Slide to
and
the right.
What are the numbers of the documentation of
Crisscross.
that?
I
Where,
don't know. We were matching the photos. So I don't care what the numbers are. I care that the height is the same.
okay, so I just heard you say, if I heard correctly, you don't care what the suspension is at. Is that your testimony?
No, I don't care what the suspension number is as long as the heights match.
I understand. So what was the suspension height of Miss Reed's Lexus at 5:07 a.m. on January 29th, 2022, while at One Meadows and colliding with the Chevy Traverse? What was the suspension height then?
We
I bet you he cares about his payday.
assumed it was the same as when it was at the Canton Police Department.
Exactly. You assumed, but there's no measurement like was just on that depiction. There was no note that said, okay, we're doing this very important and inches sensitive measurements to see whether the tail light on the Lexus makes contact with the Traverse, but there's no measurement and no documentation of what the suspension height was at One Meadows, correct?
So we took the closest measurement in time to the One Meadows event, which is when it was at the Canton Police Department. That was the best information we had.
Well, that information isn't very good because the vehicle had to go from Canton to One Meadows. And when the vehicle drives, the way the suspension system works, it's automatic. When you go above 20 miles an hour, the suspension comes up. And when you turn off the vehicle, it goes down so you can get out easier. So it would be improper to assume that the suspension at One Meadows would be the same at another location.
That's the only, sorry,
Was there an objection? Go ahead and answer, please.
that's the extent.
Why did you just stop and say I'm sorry to the prosecution when they didn't give an objection, sir? Was it because you just said something you shouldn't have? Or maybe what you were about to say didn't fit the narrative? You heard that, right? You saw, yeah, hold on. Here we go. Are you ready? No, there wasn't an objection. There wasn't.
To assume
What?
that the suspension at One Meadows would be the same at another location.
That's the only, sorry,
Was there an objection? Go ahead and answer, please.
that's the extent of the information we had. We had it when it was at the Canton Police Department.
That's-
We matched that height.
Sorry, sir. I understand.
But actually, you brought up a good point. It's going so slow when it's backing up that it wouldn't raise up.
Hold
So
the hell
just-
on. No. You went from saying it was going 24 miles an hour in reverse to now saying it's going so slow that it wouldn't raise up. Make up your damn mind. You're the one that has all the degrees, right? The hell?
Static position when it's backing up would be the static position.
But it wouldn't be going in backup from the Canton Police Department to One Meadows. It wouldn't be going back up when it's going in other locations, sir, right? It would be driving forward. It had to get from point A to point B.
Right, but as you pointed out, when you turn it off, it drops down, and then you turn it on, and then once you go above 20, as you indicated, it goes up. But when she's backing up, she never goes more than a couple miles an hour. So it's going to
I'm gonna let that sink in for a few seconds. I'll wait. Wait. Sir, are you saying that per your slides that are oh so holy and mighty, that you were assuming she went 24 miles an hour, but now that you know there's a height difference, you're saying she didn't go more than 2? When she was in reverse, she didn't go more than 2? I thought it was 24, sir. The hell?
Was there an objection? Go ahead and answer, please.
That's the extent of the information we had. We had it when it was at the Canton Police Department.
That's-
We matched that height.
I
Sorry,
rewound
sir.
it.
I understand.
But actually, you brought up a good point. It's going so slow when it's backing up that it wouldn't raise up. So the static position when it's backing up would be the static position.
But it wouldn't be going in backup from the Canton Police Department to One Meadows. It wouldn't be going back up when it's going in other locations, sir, right? It would be driving forward. It had to get from point A to point B.
Right, but as you pointed out, when you turn it off, it drops down, and then you turn it on, and then once you go above 20, as you indicated, it goes up. But when she's backing up, she never goes more than a couple miles an hour. So it's going to be at the same position as when you start, which is approximately the same position when it's off at the Canton Police Department a couple days later.
But he said she never went more than 2 miles an hour when she was backing up. Does that literally just apply? If he is talking about at John's house, I have no idea why they can't check the suspensions. I think that was a choice. You sure did. Let me help you right the fuck out.
Do you know whether the suspension system locks when there is testing of the infotainment system?
Whether the suspensions, I don't,
I'm sorry for the F-bomb, guys. I don't usually use them on live. I use them when I'm off live. I try not to. That one came out, the bitch in me. Again, sorry. She sometimes, I have to push her down. I cannot control her sometimes. Polite apology.
no.
Okay, let's go on to the next topic. You're aware of the vehicle control, excuse me, Your Honor.
You guys got the spicy Michelle today. I couldn't believe I said it either. I was like, Michelle, did you really just say that?
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to go,
It was because he called Karen a freak. I don't appreciate that. No.
I'm changing topics to go back now to Fairview, 34 Fairview. You don't know what the suspension ride height at 34 Fairview was
He sure
on
did, Kathy.
January 29th of 2022.
He did.
Correct.
So therefore, if you don't know what the suspension height was, because of course you weren't there on January 29th, 2022.
No.
You
Not in the courtroom. The guy that came in the chat that I got rid of that quick. Not him.
Therefore there's no measuring stick, as you say, you assert that you would
Us
have accounted
too?
for it in your methodology. So you don't have
Thank you, Stephanie.
the suspension height for that key day, do you, sir?
I only have it 2 days later.
All right.
I've just been
So when
blessed.
you talk about key measurements, such as the spoiler on the top of the Lexus and the inches that are important as to whether things such as is there a contact with the front eye, you don't have some data that
Is there something going on that you guys need me to help out with in the chat? If there is, just signal me.
would be relevant to that calculation, the sum data being the suspension height of the Lexus at that time, do you?
So we have some data. We have photos of the vehicle 2 days later. We don't know the exact height outside because, as you alluded to, we don't have a measurement on January 29th
Absolutely, Parker. I will say a prayer for Brenda. Absolutely.
of it, but we do have it 2 days later. That's the source of the measurement.
You don't have the suspension height or the setting of the suspension of the Lexus that existed on January 29th, 2022, do you?
Correct.
Now let's go on to another topic. Within the 34 Fairview on January 29th of
Stephanie, I agree.
2022, I'm not going to go over them, but you asserted various
Didn't I?
measurements, height, width, with regard to the Lexus, correct? It wasn't just for the spoiler at the top, correct?
Correct.
And for all those other measurements that you talked about, you
We're
did
good in the
not
chat,
have
guys, right?
the suspension height and the suspension setting of the hydraulic system of the Lexus on January 29th, 2022, did you?
So the hydraulic's only going to affect the vertical dimensions. It doesn't change anything left to right. It doesn't change anything down the side of the car.
Understood. But for the measurements that are affected by vertical, you didn't have the suspension height of the Lexus system on January 29th, 2022.
Again,
Did you?
I only know what it is 2 days later.
So now let's go on to vehicle control history. Sir, you understand what I mean by vehicle control history of
Do this
VCH?
text stream information?
Are you asking where Alessi got his degree from? I don't know. I mean, I could stop all this to Google it, but I don't know if you're talking about Alessi or not.
Are you aware of what is called the Bosch crash data retrieval system in Lexus vehicles?
Of course, we showed it on my slides.
And the
He said slides
Bosch
again.
crash data retrieval system in Lexus vehicles is sometimes referred to as the black box.
No, you're mixing up two things. So the Bosch is like the tools.
It's a question, sir.
So you answer that with a yes or no?
It is,
Is the Bosch crash data retrieval system the black box on Lexus vehicles?
Yeah, we're under the, like Catnip said, when he came out of the womb, he had a degree already. But no, he did go to law school. 100% he
I
did.
just wanted to repeat it so we can.
Thank you, Audra.
Any objection?
Albany Law.
Yes. So the question was just asked. Can you answer that question?
no, it doesn't make sense.
Okay, next question, Mr. Wilson.
I'm going to ask the question, sir. The Bosch crash data retrieval system in Lexus vehicles, you're familiar with that? Are you familiar with it?
There is no such thing in the Lexus.
A Lexus does not have a Bosch crash data retrieval system?
No.
Have you read the
Ashley, that means somebody gifted you a membership, a subscription here.
report of Trooper Paul,
Yes.
the May 2023? Does that report not use the exact words
No.
Bosch? Let me ask this, do you recall?
Sustained. The
Okay.
objection is sustained.
Let's go to the VCH system in Lexuses. Is the VCH system intended by Lexus as
Not only incorrect information, but incorrect measurements. He was wrong by inches.
a diagnostic tool for their technicians, Lexus technicians,
Me too,
to
Triple.
assist in vehicle repair and maintenance? Is that what that is
Thank
created for?
you.
That's their stated purpose.
Right. And is a synonym for VCH TechStream? Is
Sort of. TechStream, similar, like Bosch is the hardware and software to access the black box data. TechStream is the software to access, for example, the pre-collision system, the PCS system, and the VCH, which is the vehicle control history. So TechStream which does a lot of other stuff, but does access that information.
you just mentioned Bosch, didn't you, sir?
So Bosch is not in the Lexus. You use Bosch stuff sold by Bosch, Bosch software and hardware, and you walk up to the Lexus with all the Bosch stuff and plug it in and download the event data recorder, the EDR, the black box. That was my problem. There is no
Understood.
Bosch stuff in the Lexus.
I understand, sir. That was going to be the question that I was trying to get to, but you've explained it, so I don't have to answer the question. Let's go to the VCH database. That you say the stated purpose is to assist technicians at Lexus in vehicle repair and maintenance.
So I didn't say that was a stated purpose. I'm saying that's what Lexus or Toyota says is a stated purpose. It's being used in litigation all the time. All I know is that's what Lexus and Toyota says. But again, it came about right when we started seeing all the sudden accelerations in the Toyota vehicles.
So my question is the VCH database specific to Toyota and Lexus vehicles?
So it's not a database, it's software.
Is the software specific to Lexus and Toyota? The VCH?
Those particular acronyms are, yes.
He's confusing
I want to
us.
move to another topic, and we are almost finished. We have just two more topics, sir.
Don't look at your
How
watch, sir.
common were VCH events when Miss
Right, getting it.
Reed owned the Lexus?
In 2022,
Do you know the ownership period of Miss Reed with respect to the Lexus? Do you know how long she owned it?
I have that documentation, I don't know off the top of my head.
Do you have an approximate?
Sir, I'm going to ask you to not open your binder without having express permission from the court first. Bev, what the hell?
No, I mean, it was a 2021 vehicle.
Yeah.
Our accident's January 29, 2022. But I did get that information.
Do you know how many VCH events were associated with the Lexus of Miss Reed?
I did not.
Today he hasn't, but he still has it on. Judge Bev said simply, don't look at your watch. He says, but I get emails there. She didn't make him take it off. So clearly because she said it, that means that he'll never even accidentally glance down at his watch. But he's still wearing it.
Not count them, no. I have them all.
Do you
I was
have,
only
I know.
focused on the ones around our time period.
exactly, but do you have the number of events? Do you know how many there were?
I could get it for you.
How long would it take, sir?
3 minutes?
Why don't we come back to it?
Okay.
and we'll see if it's.
How about I start this?
No.
So that we don't have to wait for it to
No.
boot up? And then when
No.
we come back to it, it's ready to go. You
As
okay with
long as
it?
that's all you're looking at, sir.
Yep.
Thank you. And then pick your head up, please, so I can finish these two
Please,
topics.
go ahead.
So,
This is totally not me pressing my face to the screen to make sure there's no reflection in his glasses from what he sees on the thing. I'm that nosy. Hold on.
how often were VCH events recorded on the Lexus before January 29th of 2022?
Man, I have to pull this data up.
Fair
to-
enough,
to
fair enough.
answer that
I
question.
assume that's going to be in what you're also pulling up.
That's
I
the
saw
goal here.
messages.
Would the number be about 15? Does that sound right to you?
Could never be
Let's
too
see.
sure.
1, 2.
He just did a quick check to make sure Bev wasn't looking. This is for science. Ignore me. Ignore me. Ignore my expression line wrinkle too.
There's 18.
18. So there were your records show that there were 18 VCH events recorded on Miss Reed's Lexus, correct?
Before the subject one.
Right.
Now direct him to close it. Close it.
Did you conclude that any of those events, other than the 1162-2, were a collision?
No.
Now let's go to reverse recorded events. Can you tell how many of those 18 events were reverse recorded events? And you know what I mean by reverse recorded events?
Yes.
The vehicle going in reverse?
Right.
How many of those events were the vehicle going in reverse?
And this is before.
4. Other than
He asked
No, no,
you,
I said
is this before?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, I would have to pull up the PCS file.
Can you start that and I can continue on with the questioning?
I gotta, so the PCS file is I have a second laptop that
Here's
has
what I'm
text
gonna
in.
do. That's not important for me to keep going and get through it,
Okay.
so let's just
Not only does he want one laptop on the witness stand, but he wants a second laptop open on the witness stand. You guys, I cannot make this shit up.
stay on the events, okay?
Court is over for the day, yes.
Only one of all of those events, those 18.
He's digging for it.
Are you concluding that there was a collision associated with them, correct? Just one?
No, all those 18 are before.
Sir, what are you
The collision's
doing?
number 19.
No, I'm saying, I understand what you're saying, but for all the other
You're welcome.
events that are recorded, you're not, other than the January 29, 1162-2, you're not concluding that any of those were collisions, correct?
I didn't look at them.
Sir, you did all that digging and then you hid your hand. Please show us what is in your hand. As a judge, that should be the first thing that she's saying, and the second, and the third.
They were so far mileage away from everything.
Oh, wait, that's right.
But you're not concluding, even though they were so far away and you didn't look at them, you don't conclude from the information you have that any of them were a collision, correct?
Sustained.
Let's go to 5:07 a.m. on January 29th, 2022 at One Meadows, the home of Mr. O'Keefe.
Okay.
There
I'm
was
trying to figure out,
a
Ashley.
collision between Miss Reed's 6,000-pound Lexus and Mr. O'Keefe's approximately 4,500 Chevy Traverse. That's undisputed, correct? They
Yes, he's
collided, they made
typing.
contact,
They touched.
right?
He's typing.
But the actual collision at One Meadows did not register the recording of an event on the Lexus VCH system, did it?
Correct. It's too minor.
So However, you want this jury,
I
sir,
hope you
to
guys are screen
conclude
recording this part too.
that the glancing blow that you contend occurred at 34 Fairview Road by the same 6,000-pound Lexus in contact with a mere 216-pound man did register an event on the Lexus, correct?
No, the impact didn't register the event. As I pointed out, the trigger was from when the accelerator pedal went to 30%. The tech stream does not register crashes at all. It registers excessive acceleration, excessive steering, excessive braking, things like that, things that would be part of the maintenance system. So the tech stream will never register an event, even if you hit a wall at 100 miles an hour necessarily. It'll cause fault codes and things like that. But that's not what it does. The trigger here was transitioning into reverse and then gunning the accelerator pedal in reverse. And so when it went from 30 up to 74% throttle, once it went over 30 in that transition, that's what triggered the tech stream.
Wait,
Had
hold
nothing to do
on.
with-
Are you trying now trying to say that Karen's vehicle went 30 in reverse?
And that's why I'm telling you, I don't know when in that event the impact occurred, because the tech stream doesn't tell you that.
By the way, guys, if you are following Michelle on, that's just my backup. Make sure you're following this side too, because I don't always bring it with me.
Thank you. That
You're
is
welcome.
Exactly my point.
Oh,
The
30%.
textual
Thank you.
Information doesn't tell you when a collision occurs, does it?
Correct.
That's all the questions I have at this time, Your Honor.
All right, why don't we take our morning recess?
How in the hell did all of that just happen in a court of law? How? Don't worry, guys. We practice patience with parameters. Yeah, I made sure to change the size of the fan so it was bigger. You know, size matters. I cannot believe that this was actually happening, Moni, that this is actually happening in a court of law in the United States.
Formula.
It's in our face now, so we're faced with the fact that this does happen. And if this could happen to Karen, this could happen to any one of us.
See it, court is in session.
That's what's scary.
The redirect, Mr. Brennan?
Thank you.
Oh God, here's the redirect. Everybody get comfortable. Get your cashews out.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brandon.
You were asked some
Actually,
questions.
it's morning, but yes.
Thank you.
You were asked some questions about the ring video from Meadows, which was John O'Keefe's home. And you were asked whether you're aware if the cameras had changed over time.
Correct.
The fact that the camera was replaced, does that any way affect your opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty about your conclusions relative to that touching between the cars?
Absolutely not. It would have shown up as increased error when we overlaid the point clouds onto the photos or the point clouds onto the video. If it was an error, it would have showed an error.
Do you have any concern whatsoever that any of the information from the scan is in any way tainted, compromised, or inadequate?
That would be very hard to do. You literally press a button and stand there and watch it, and the laser does its thing. So I have absolutely no reason to disbelieve it. Additionally, again, if it was messed up, once you laid it over on top of the photograph, it would show the difference. So no, the data's fine.
Is there any evidence whatsoever that you've seen that any parts of your presentation were photoshopped?
No,
You were asked questions about the suspension of the motor vehicle of the defendant's Lexus. Do you have any information that the suspension at any point was changed?
no,
Yesterday, you were asked a number of questions about formulas. You took out your calculator and you were asked about different variables. Were those variables hypotheticals or were they related
Thank
to
you.
this specific case?
so they seemed hypothetical. Again, you have to be careful when you're talking about,
It's open because it doesn't matter now, because the person that will be messaging is the person asking the questions, in theory.
failure forces on biomechanical things. For example, if you impact the hand with a, say, 1-inch narrow metal bar, that's a lot different than if you have a broad, say, plastic taillight or a rear body panel. So when you have distributed loads, you can take much more. I told you guys about sitting on the bed, like how much you sink in. That's an example of spreading your load out. When you spread the load out, you don't sink in as much. So same thing with, forces on your body. If you take this pencil, I don't have to press very hard for it to pull in. But if I spread it out, I have to press much harder. So you have to look at the distribution of the load when you're talking about the failure. So when you look at the failure loads, it depends on what you're doing.
That's not what he's talking about, Lisa. That is not what he's talking about. Not at all.
With. If I hit you with a 5-pound 2x4 or a 5-pound pillow, they're both 5 pounds, but you'd much rather get hit by the pillow than the 2x4.
When you were asked questions about communications, when you would have communications with the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, did you ever use encrypted apps to secretly hide your communications? Apps like Signal?
No, I don't have any of those.
So the form of the question, ask it differently.
When you were communicating with members of the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, did you ever use encrypted apps like Signal to communicate?
Objection, so, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow it.
No, I don't even know what that is.
Would you ever use an encrypted app so those communications couldn't be tracked?
No,
Would you ever have any reason as a professional for doing that?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
You were asked about confirmation bias. You remember those questions?
I do.
Could I have slide 33 of your PowerPoint, please?
There was, they just didn't get it, Samantha P.
Slide 33.
Give me a second.
Oh wait, that's right, this is slide.
You could zoom that in, please. A little larger so we can see it.
You know what would be epic is if we were seeing it from his computer and then a message popped up. Yeah, there's a petition. I don't know what good it will do though, but yeah, I've signed
I
it.
cannot do it with one monitor.
You can't do it any closer than that?
Not since I took down, hold on. Here we go. Which part do you want me to zoom in?
Ms. Gilman can zoom in for you.
Sorry? Which part?
Ms. Gilman's going to do it for you.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
If you could zoom in, please. Okay. On shift position signal, going forward, then neutral.
The link to the change.org is in our Facebook group, guys. And if you're not in the Facebook group, it's Criminal Musings. We have it in our group.
and reverse. Does that data suffer from confirmation bias?
No, that's strictly electronic data.
When we look over at the vehicle speed, can we go to the left a little bit?
Right, Taylor? Thank you, Debbie.
Down. Vehicle speed ending at 2361 miles per hour. Does that suffer from confirmation bias?
No, again, these are direct readings from the vehicle. Again, that speed on this here, you have to correct for the slippage, which I do later on in the slide, but that is a direct reading from what the speedometer is seeing.
Acceleration at the end of that 10-second window, 74%. Does that suffer from confirmation bias?
No, that's a direct reading of a sensor. It's objective information.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Wow.
Anything, Mr. Lessie?
Who just said wow? All you guys need on that is the after the dash, the QQG, those letters. Just copy that, then go to anychange.org petition and delete those letters and put those letters in. Who said wow? I thought it was Welcher too. Hold on.
23, 61 miles per hour. Does that suffer from confirmation bias?
No, again, these are direct readings from the vehicle. Again, that speed on this here, you have to correct for the slippage, which I do later on in the slide, but that is a direct
Hi,
reading
Charlie.
from what the speedometer is seeing.
How are you?
Acceleration at the end of that 10-second window, 74%.
Thank you.
Does that suffer from confirmation bias?
No, that's a direct reading of a sensor. It's objective information.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Wow.
Anything, Mr.
Welcher.
Lessie?
Your Honor.
It's Welcher.
Yeah, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Welcher, you were just asked questions about slide 33, which is a slide about text stream data. You acknowledge that text
Close your laptop.
stream data, what you have called a trigger, like was on that slide, does not tell you if a collision even occurred, correct?
Correct.
With regard to the topic of confirmation bias that you were just asked about in
Thank you.
slide 33, am I correct that all of the questions that Attorney Brennan just asked you were about data on that slide, correct? All that's on that slide is data, correct?
He asked me more questions than just this slide.
But were the questions just about data?
On this slide, it was just about data.
Correct. But confirmation bias is really aimed at opinions and conclusions and alternative hypotheses. Isn't that what confirmation bias gets at?
So generally, yes. Again, I started this case with
There was
the
just a question.
hypothesis,
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
with the hypothesis that the Lexus didn't contact Mr. O'Keefe. And so I start what's called the null hypothesis, that this didn't happen. And then I look at evidence to either include or exclude the null hypothesis. So theoretically, my confirmational bias starts with a bias that it didn't happen.
Can you point to one document that shows that you analyzed whether there was no contact between the Lexus and Mr. O'Keefe? You would point to one document. Was there one document on your slide presentation? Is really aimed at opinions and conclusions and alternative hypotheses. Isn't that what confirmation bias gets at?
So generally, yes. Again, I started this case
I rewound it.
with
There was
the
just a question.
hypothesis,
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
with the hypothesis that the Lexus didn't contact Mr. O'Keefe. And so I start what's called the null hypothesis, that this didn't happen. And then I look at evidence to either include or exclude the null hypothesis. So theoretically, my confirmational bias starts with a bias that it didn't happen.
Can you point to one document that shows that you analyzed was no contact between the Lexus and Mr. O'Keefe. You would point to one document. Was there one document on your slide presentation that analyzed the null hypothesis, as you call it, there being no contact at all?
Thank
Was
you.
there any slide in your direct testimony?
So remember what I said, we start with hypothesis, we get more data, we whittle down our hypothesis to the final answer. I mean, I had 130 slides. I suspect I bored some of these people to death already. So I didn't include everything. There's thousands of photographs in here. There was a bunch of testing I did with the Lexus about backing, pedestrian detection that,
Thank you.
removed certain hypotheses. So if I was able to eliminate a hypothesis, I didn't present it here.
Thank
Sir,
you.
my question is not about you.
All the slides show that. To
Please
answer your
don't
question.
interrupt my husband.
My
Second
question
husband.
Is there any slide that says alternative hypothesis to whatever the label is, whatever the term, it says no contact between the Lexus vehicle and Mr. O'Keefe? Is there any document that you presented to the jury that shows that?
Any document where those words are written on it?
Correct.
No.
And to work through hypotheses, different ones, and to see whether there's confirmation bias, have you heard of scientists refer that as showing your math, so to speak, in working through hypotheses, documenting each hypothesis and how and why you rejected them? Have you heard of that term in the scientific world, show your math with confirmation biases and alternative hypotheses? Just a question. Have you heard the idiom, the phrase, show your math?
Your question is, have I ever heard show your math, period?
Associated with the application of various hypotheses to avoid confirmation bias. Have you heard of that term used in that conjunction?
Not really in that
Okay.
context. It's probably,
Did he pick
I
his
understand
nose?
where you're going with it.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
No further questions.
Dr. Welcher, you were awesome.
Oh my God, thank you.
Oh my God, thank you, Your Honor.
Give me a minute to pack up and I will be out of here.
Now he's making his way so
Oh,
he
yeah,
can
I'm
back
plugging,
up.
yes, thank you.
Excuse me? Yes, you can put your.
How he wasn't labeled as a hostile witness is beyond me.
Thank you.
Laptop should have been closed a long time ago, sir. Right, all 26 of them. Imagine being the lawyer that's got to come up with everything. It's exhausting for both sides. But if you're telling the truth, it shouldn't be that exhausting. And he got a second one and a smartwatch, which was getting text messages yesterday. Clearly not used to it.
May I step down?
Yes, you can. Thank
Pleasure
you very
to meet you.
much. Mr. Brennan?
Commonwealth moves to introduce and play clip 26.
So I thought, could I have run him over? Did he try to get me as I was leaving and I didn't know it? I mean, I've always got the music blasting. It's snowing. I got the wipers going, the heater blasting. Did he come and hit the back of my car and I hit him in the knee and he's drunk and passed out and asphyxiated or something? And then when I hired David Unetti, I asked him those questions the night of January 29th. Like, David, what if, I don't know, what if I ran his foot over or himself and he threw up or passed out, and David said, yeah, then you have some element of culpability.
So the 207.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth rests.
Does counsel want to see me?
We do, Your Honor.
Okay, so should we send the jury out or should?
Probably, yes.
So jurors, so everybody can sit. So jurors, the Commonwealth rests. That means that the Commonwealth's case has been presented to you for your consideration. So I need to meet with the lawyers for a few minutes, so we're going to send you back out. I can tell you that it now appears that we're at least on schedule, if not a little ahead of schedule.
Bullshit.
So we'll send you back out for a short recess.
Rise to the jurors.
Right. Can counsel come to sidebar, please?
The fact of the matter is, in that interview, she said, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? No, I don't think it went over as well as they wanted it to either. Let's see if we get out of sidebar at all. No, are we about to? They've still got the room muted, so we can't hear anything. They have a half day because a juror wanted to go to a doctor's appointment. The courtroom's very, very tiny. There was no motive for an unaliving. There's no motive. Not by Karen. It's very small. Jury's entering. Jury's entering now. No, we don't know the cause, no. I know, Lucid. This is not normal.
Court is in session, please be seated.
I'm not sure,
So,
guys.
Jurors, we all, it happens several times a day, doesn't it? So, we don't want to waste anybody's time. I know we've spent a lot of time at sidebar, and we've had times that we've kept you in the deliberation room because we've been trying to sort through everything, trying to make this trial as efficient as possible, but also honoring and respecting all the hard work of the lawyers that's gone into preparing this trial. So sometimes I do understand that it's frustrating for you. But today we were able to spend some time this morning. I know we kept you in there almost half an hour, and we've just spent some time now. So I can tell you that we are ahead of schedule right now. I still need to talk to the lawyers about something tomorrow morning. So we're gonna send you home now and have you come back tomorrow morning at 9:30, because today I know we kept you until 9:30, and it doesn't make any sense where I already know I need to talk to the lawyers tomorrow morning to have you here for a 9 o'clock start. So tomorrow will be a full day, and we'll have you here ready to start at 9:30. Okay, so those same cautions, please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into the case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about the case, please disregard it and let us know. And also, please continue to be careful with your social media use.
Oh, it took
see you
them long
tomorrow.
enough to get to a full
Advise the
day.
jury.
Short break while the jury exits. Let's see if anything is said. Yes, Linda. Prosecution has rested. Oh, do you?
All right, so Ms. Little, if you can get me whatever you're going to get me within the next hour or so, that would be great. And I'll see everybody tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
There you have it, guys. No, I'll start at 10:30 Central Time tomorrow. We practice patience with parameters here because we don't have very much patience. It's very limited stock. Okay, let me check something here because I know that I don't blame you for wanting to take it. If I would take it. I'm just gonna say that. Okay, so the officials gave a reward or an update on the reward for the New Orleans inmates. Let's hear what that is before we all rest up for today or tomorrow.
Come on inside. You got plenty of room.
Hands do feel better.
I do. Not high.
Oh, that's way too much, Michelle. The ones that escaped from the New Orleans prison. The whole bunch of them.
Everybody good?
Like a week ago. But you knew who to look for, didn't you? Because we showed you the picture. Thank you, Glam.
I want to thank you all so much for being with us today.
About to find out.
We have a very important announcement, I believe, that may assist in the apprehension of the two last remaining at-large inmates. I do want to say a great thank you to the partnering agencies that have worked endlessly to make this arrest happen at the first 8.
You notice who's not the one speaking right now? Notice that she's standing in the back now?
And we have with us today, of course, state police,
I am too.
ATF, U.S. Marshals, FBI, LSP, of course, and Homeland Security, and NOPD. So as Crime Stoppers, we have been, an active participant in gathering information for many years in the New Orleans area and in the surrounding parishes, actually for about 45 years. And this is a job that we take very seriously, and we also understand the sensitivity when someone reports someone that they know personally with regards to a crime. And since the escape, Crime Stoppers has fielded close to 700 tips with regards to the information on the 10 inmates. We actually, at the peak of this, had to add 4 additional lines to accommodate the calls to the call center, the Crime Stoppers call center.
Good.
And I want you to know that we vetted every single tip, prioritized them for delivery to our lead agency, Louisiana State Police, and the other agency partners that stand with us. We know that we've been told tips assisted in 3 arrests of inmates. And the first tip that came in that led to an arrest, actually the incredible work by this team, that arrest came within 30 minutes of the tip. I can tell you that 3 tipsters will be paid rewards. And again, it's by the work that's been confirmed from the information the community provides to from law enforcement.
The former chief of police
I can't thank enough the LSP Fusion Center, the individuals who we work with, the call takers, who we passed every single tip by. I also can't thank enough my staff and our call center for keeping, staying the course. We know that tips from the public plays an incredible
That
role.
scares me.
And we also appreciate that we have the trust coming to Crime Stoppers for those tips. But our work is not done. With 2 remaining inmates, our board, our organization, wanted to stand firm and encourage anyone who might have intimate knowledge of the whereabouts of Mr. Massey or Mr. Groves not to wait, but to contact us immediately. To kind of put a little meat behind that, we wanted to let you know that Crime Stoppers today has increased its reward for information that leads directly to the arrest of each of these individuals, up to $20,000. Now with Crime Stoppers, we are combining with the ATF, making the reward significantly higher. And you are eligible for the Crime Stoppers reward by contacting us directly. With Crime Stoppers, you're going to remain anonymous. It's our standard protocols. And we truly hope that with this increased amount, if you have personal knowledge of the whereabouts of these individuals that can help law enforcement make that arrest, to contact us. And again, we can't say it enough, with Crime Stoppers, you will remain anonymous. And I'd like to have the ATF speak up.
She's the,
All right, thank you. Hey, good morning. My name is Joshua Jackson. I am the special agent in charge for the ATF New Orleans Field Division. As New Orleans has heard me say it in other communities in Louisiana, ATF's priority mission is to prevent, reduce, and solve violent crime. In this particular response, this is preventing additional violent crime from happening to our citizens in our community. The 10 escapees definitely had violent criminal histories, and they definitely were it had a lot of impact on public safety within the communities that we serve. I want to pull the curtain back a little bit and kind of give some acknowledgments and some thank yous to our partners. First, LSP, leading this investigation. Colonel Hodges has been instrumental in coordinating efforts and keeping all the federal partners and local partners engaged and aware and appraised of what's going on. This investigation has stretched beyond the borders of Louisiana. Also want to give a lot of acknowledgement to our federal partners, and that's FBI, United States Marshal Service, and HSI. HSI, NOPD, and ATF, we have a task force that works in the city. You guys might recall when we did a press conference speaking about the crime drop, violent crime decreases within the city of New Orleans. And we talked about this task force. This task force is led by New Orleans Police Department Special Operations Division Tactical Team 2, ATF, and Homeland Security Investigations. This team has been instrumental in this response. This task force is the one that comes out, and they do investigate violent crime in all capacities to include this fugitive apprehension. They've been instrumental in conducting search warrants, interviews that have directly led to the arrest and capture of some of these escapees. The last acknowledgement and thank you I want to give to the public and the community at large. You guys have been instrumental in providing tips and working with us to help keep you safe. We're not at the finish line. We still have 2 more to go that we need to capture and bring back and put back in custody, as they do pose a risk to public safety to all of us in the community. I also want to reiterate to firearm owners, we want to make sure that this is already a dangerous situation. We want to make sure that firearms are secured in your vehicles. We don't want any handguns, rifles that are unsecured coming into the hands of these two individuals who are still outstanding. Also be vigilant in your home. Make sure your firearms are secured throughout the area until we get these 2 individuals back into custody. So thank you to New Orleans and the greater Louisiana area for your assistance and your help with this investigation. I'm going to turn it over to
Help.
Chief of the United States Marshals.
That's how they got out. and outside help, both.
Good morning. I'm Walter Martin. I'm the Chief Deputy with the U.S. Marshals here in New Orleans. I want to start by thanking several groups. I first want
Crazy.
to thank Darlene and Crime Stoppers, GNO, for not only increasing the reward, but for also her partnership and everything that they've done behind the scenes to assist not only the U.S. Marshals, but my law enforcement partners that are standing here. And their support with the community has been phenomenal.
I think she's the
I would also like to
sheriff.
thank the men and women you see standing here with me today, but more importantly, the men and women that are behind the scenes
Two
working
more.
hard every day. Ever since the escape occurred, they've been tirelessly working, dedicating their time and giving up, sacrificing their personal and professional time to work on finding these escapees. I also want to thank the public for their support, not only of the law enforcement, but for providing the tips and the information that is needed to find the escapees. More importantly, I would like to echo what Colonel Hodges has
She's
been
not the
telling you
sheriff.
guys from the start, as well as what our leaders have been saying, that we need the community support. Continue to provide the tips, send them to Crime Stoppers, send them to the ATF, to the FBI, to the Marshal Service. We are vetting those tips, and we're using that information to catch the individuals. As you have seen thus far, we've captured 8 of them, and we plan on catching the remaining 2. If you know something, say something. Please contact Crime Stoppers, ATF, the Marshal Service, FBI, and thank you for your support. Now I'd like to introduce FBI Special Agent in Charge, Jonathan Tapp. Thank you.
Maybe she'll talk and we'll find out.
Good morning, folks.
Do you know her position?
Thank you, Chief. I'm Jonathan Tapp, Special Agent in Charge of the FBI here in New Orleans. Today marks day 13 in our search for escapees Antoine Massey and Derek Rose, and we want you to know that we will find them. The FBI remains committed to supporting our law enforcement partners to recapture these dangerous inmates. The FBI has utilized every resource at our disposal to locate and apprehend the remaining 2 fugitives. Agents and analysts have been working every day to ensure that credible
Thank
leads
you,
are
Lisa.
pursued with urgency. And that's not just here in New Orleans, but across the country. What we need from you, the public, is to continue to give us leads. If you think you've seen either of these men or have any information, call 911, call Crime Stoppers, call 1-800-CALL-FBI. You can submit a tip at fbi.gov/New Orleans fugitives, but please report any information. We're also announcing that we, the FBI, are increasing our potential reward per inmate, Massey and Rose, from $10,000 to $20,000 with our partners. We want you to know the FBI handles every lead with discretion, and we do our utmost to preserve anonymity. But sometimes this is difficult. We understand with our law enforcement partners that some of you might be reporting a friend, a loved one, a relative, and albeit not easy,
She might be
it
the
is critical
chief.
to your safety and the safety of the public that you report that. Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to Colonel Hodges.
Thank you, SAC Tapp. Good morning, everyone. 2 weeks in, and our mission remains unchanged in locating and apprehending the remaining fugitives is our top priority. You see them on the monitor to your left, my right, and it shows 8 captured and 2 remaining. Over the past 2 weeks, strong collaboration with our Crime Stoppers, Darlene and her team, local, state, and our federal partners that you see to my left and right and behind me, have been with them, we've taken 8 of the 10 safely back into custody and transported them to a secure state facility in Louisiana. Additionally, multiple individuals who aided these fugitives after their escape have been arrested. I want to be clear. Anyone who chooses to help the remaining fugitives in any way will be arrested and prosecuted. The decision is simple. Assist law enforcement and potentially earn a reward, or try to assist these fugitives and go to jail with a potentially high bond. As SAC Tapp said, we know their family members, their friends, but they are a public safety risk for you, everyone around you, and the entire state of Louisiana. You must do the right thing. With Crime Stoppers increasing the reward amount, now is the time to make the right choice. Turn in valuable information and help us bring them in safely and receive a reward. All contact information is available on our websites, our social media platforms, and can be shared again following this conference. This remains an evolving investigation. Things change. I want to thank our Texas DPS troopers who helped us Monday. I also want to thank our Baton Rouge City Police here in Louisiana who helped us also capture a fugitive on Monday as well. We'll continue to share updates with the public as more information becomes available. Please follow our social media pages and for the latest developments on what we have. Once again, this is a team effort. It takes all of us. That's why you have the New Orleans Police Department, you have the FBI, Homeland Security Investigations, ATF, the U.S. Marshals, and even those who are not with us up here right now, our state probation and parole, our sheriffs in neighboring parishes, and many other agencies, Harbor Police, our Orleans and Jefferson Levy District, all of those agencies are instrumental in working this operation around the clock. So please know that the public, once again, that we are working for you. It's for all of Louisiana. And as mentioned, sometimes these dangerous fugitives travel outside our borders. So we need everyone's help. If you're listening and you're in another state and you have a tip or another parish or another city, please contact us. This concludes our conference, and we'll take any questions.
As this manhunt started, we heard a lot about law enforcement.
You could tell she didn't want to be there.
In the metro area, we now know 2 arrests in Texas, 1 in Baton Rouge. So, kind of, you guys have any idea geographically about where Vera Grove came from after our check?
So once again, we have some strong leads, but these remaining 2 fugitives, they have help, and therefore they move. And sometimes they move outside New Orleans, outside Louisiana, because they have help. And at this time, we're confident that we're closing in on the remaining 2 escapees, and we should have them in custody soon. But law enforcement is patient, but more importantly, we're resilient. And although they're going to get tired and frustrated as they try to move around Louisiana or move around the metropolitan area, they know the walls are closing in, and very soon we'll have them in custody.
So you do think they're in the Louisiana metro area?
We're confident that we have strong investigative leads as to their whereabouts, but we still need the public's help.
So there you guys have it. 2 more left. Let's see what else we got. Oh, let's see. Is this one after court today?
Clear Alley, you rested your case.
Would you like to talk to us today?
How are you today?
We'll keep everything as brief as you kept that last regrip.
Clear Alley, you rested your
Cuddy, are you happy that you finally told your truth?
How are you feeling after the testimony?
There's a lot of different things going on court-wise.
Clear Alley, you rested your case.
Would you like to
I
talk
want
to
to
us
see
today?
Karen leave in
We'll
court.
keep everything as brief as you kept that last regrip.
Clear Alley, you.
We have something on Lori Daybell again. And in case you were wondering, the judge did deny her motion to have him
Romane,
replaced.
it's a grand cru essentially from Domaine de la Romane Conti. They call it DRC, but it's essentially red Pinot Noir from Burgundy.
Okay,
Let's
you're
do
not
yours.
talking about Lori. You're talking about wine. Clickbait. I'm just checking to make sure we didn't miss any big headlines, guys. In case you guys were wondering, the trial for Crystal Rogers out of Kentucky, there's no cameras in there. No, Paula. That is not true. The prosecution has rested their case. We're back tomorrow. What were my big takeaways? Well, the biggest takeaway is knowing that the defendant yesterday was getting text messages on his watch while he was testifying. I actually already did 2 videos on today's court. That's one of the reasons I like to come in late. I try to see if there's anything to do a video on. So I already did 2 videos on today alone. Not only did she not ask him to take his watch off, she didn't ask him to close his laptop or put that away. Today was a day where the corruption was pretty damn clear to me. But now it's the defense's case. So now it's game on. Let's see, what else do we have here? I was hoping to see Karen leaving the courtroom today. This is day 22. That's yesterday. That's not today. Okay, that's not going to help us. Hold on. Here we go, right here.
Karen, what can we expect from the defense? Will you testify?
TBD. How long will your case last? 1.5 to 2 weeks. How are you feeling after today? I feel very good, thank you.
You guys just heard that. 2 weeks. The defense is going to last 2 weeks. They asked if she's going to testify. She said TBD, which is to be determined.
Hold to the call. Any confusion about the proctor form? Can I give you the first witness?
Hey, David.
How would you sum up the book? One word.
Unjust.
Unjust. They asked how she would sum up the presentation for today, and she gave one word: unjust. I agree with
What can we
her.
expect from the defense? Will you testify?
TBD. How long will your case last?
I am too. Just to think that they're finally at the last 2 weeks. What are you guys thinking? Are you feeling confident? I'm getting nervous, but it's only because I get nervous for like every damn thing in the world. But I'm very nervous. We've seen the Commonwealth go to such extenuating lengths to impact what the jury sees, doesn't see, hears, doesn't hear. And then you have to think of the fact, Camden is a small town. What are the odds that they happen to find a jury that doesn't have anyone that they know would give a reason to be a plant, right? That is something I've been worrying about too. We just don't know. We just don't know. It's scary. It really is. I'm worried it might do a mistrial too. I'm hoping not. That's not what we need. This case needs to be thrown out with prejudice. She needs to be found not guilty, which means that they need to have that option on the jury deliberation forms. There wasn't an option for not guilty last time. They only had one option, and that was guilty. There's a lot of reasons to be nervous, a lot of reasons to worry, because if they find her guilty of this, that means that everything that they did, despite how wrongly it was done, could be done to any one of us. I love you too, babe. Could have been done to any one of us. That's what's scary. Her entire life has been in shambles. And then let's not forget one important thing. The justice for John O'Keefe. This, in my eyes, this is not justice for John O'Keefe, because there's still someone getting away with this murder. I don't believe that to be Karen. I don't think they will either. But I think they're going to have to first admit to themselves that it might have been somebody else. And they're not doing that yet. So, I don't know. Alright guys, I'm gonna go work on a few videos. I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll get started about 10:30 Central Time. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good afternoon. Have a good night. If there's any reason to come back, you know I will. But other than that, you guys have a great day. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Have a good day. Stay safe out there. And see you tomorrow.